Galveston, Texas. This historic island community is home to a delicious taffy confectionery, asphalt hot enough to melt crayons, and a police department who actively supports independent journalism. See them actively supporting independent journalism? Their police know the importance of things such as transparency, keeping an accurate chain of custody, and respecting the privacy of others. And they listen intently to members of their community who try to file complaints against other officers. They truly care about protecting and serving. The badge, that is. That and more after this. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Rob, and I'm one of the Freeman people.
It's the Freeman people.
That's right, it's Rob again. And this time my intro video link really is in the description below. Anyway, today's video comes to us from a few auditors from the Galveston, Texas area. And a quick shout out to those channels: Galveston Island Transparency, News Now Ninja, and Good Citizen News. Links to their channels are also in the description below. Now, we'll see today an illegitimate arrest, followed by inexcusable property theft by the police department. What started as a group of auditors approaching a squad car stopped in a public park ended in controversy, as these officers will take one of those auditors into custody, including his recording equipment. That equipment was nowhere to be found when the victim tried to retrieve it. And here's how it starts.
You got any drugs in the vehicle? Yes, sir. You got drugs in the vehicle? Can you please keep your hand? Can you please keep your hand on the steering wheel so I can see him? That's not in your face. This officer has a problem with the same thing they do to us, guys. You put a flashlight on them, they don't like it. I'm gonna need you to step out of the vehicle and show me your license there. You have a license for me? You got your license and insurance?
At this point, the officer will now inform Good Citizen News that he currently has someone in custody. Notice Good Citizen's response to the officer.
Right now, you're interfering with an investigation. I have a suspect in the backseat. You do? Okay, well, you could have told me that thing. Okay, I do see somebody in the backseat. Okay.
I barely saw him.
As you can see, once advised that the officer already had a person in custody, they immediately disengaged, walked to a reasonable distance away from the cruiser, and resumed their constitutionally protected activity. It doesn't take long for backup to arrive. 3 units respond to what must have been hundreds of calls from frightened innocents reporting incidents of independent journalism. Just look how long it takes these 4 to confer and determine that an arrest is warranted. They back each other's play without question, without even so much as making sure there is any evidence at all of a crime. While watching video of this night from Good Citizen News, I noticed several commenters taking the side of the officers. Not surprising. People fall in love with their captors all the time. There's a commonly used term for that, but one comment sums them all up, and it reads, "I just saw the video, apparently you were watching some movie. I've just watched him interfering with government operations, failure to comply with lawful orders, and illegally assuming law enforcement duties. No wonder he was arrested." Interesting take. So I looked up interfering in the Texas Penal Code. It's section 38.15. And it says a person commits an offense if the person with criminal negligence interrupts, disrupts, impedes, or interferes. And what is criminal negligence? Continuing in the Texas Penal Code, a person acts with criminal negligence with regards to their conduct when they ought to be aware of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that exists as a result of their actions. And that risk must constitute a gross deviation from the standard an ordinary person would exercise under all the circumstances involved. So an ordinary person seeing a police cruiser parked in a parking lot of a public park would not immediately assume the officer has someone detained in their back seat. Further, the dark-tinted windows obscure the suspect, making him impossible to see, so an ordinary person seeing this situation would see no harm in approaching this officer to ask him questions. An officer simply not liking the person's questions doesn't constitute a crime. Now, as for the other two supposed crimes that were committed this night, the auditors immediately moved away from the vehicle after being made aware of the person that was already in custody. So failure to comply doesn't really apply here. And, quote, assuming law enforcement duties doesn't exist as a criminal charge in the Texas Penal Code. So I guess we found our cop in the comments. He wasn't even trying to hide here. Look at him, he's just making up charges like the rest of his buddies.
They're arresting Austin.
Stay right back there, man.
I'm not going to interfere with you guys. I'm just documenting. May I take his property? Y'all going to keep his property? Okay. Cool.
This officer spends an awfully long time admiring this citizen's recording device.
Speech alone can't be interference, as last I checked.
This will be the last time these auditors see those cameras for 4 days.
They said interference because he asked the officer 2 questions.
After the illegal arrest and release from jail, it was clear that something was missing from Good Citizen's belongings.
Alright, so notice that in the clear plastic bag that there's obviously no cell phone or handheld camera attached to a Z-shaped stabilizer.
Understandably frustrated his camera setup wasn't returned, they went to the police department to get answers. One person after another dodged them or tried to pass the responsibility onto someone else. Good Citizen finally got someone on the phone who would shoot him straight about his property.
What's your case number?
Well, I don't know what case number is, but they gave me a citation number.
You have to have a case number.
Well, all it tells me...
If it just happened, it'd be like 22004 number.
Well, all it says at the top is, it says ROA and...
I can't. What is the property that you're trying to get back?
Camera equipment that was stolen.
When did they take it?
Last night.
Last night?
Yeah, last night.
GPD to you or the sheriff department to you?
GPD.
I don't have any cameras. I didn't receive any cameras this morning.
You didn't receive any cameras this morning?
I didn't receive any cameras.
Okay, and this is the GPD property room, correct?
This is Galveston Police Department property room. I didn't receive any cameras.
So there's no cameras from last night or today?
There's no cameras so far today.
What about last night?
Listen, sir. From last night, they put them in the lockers. There's no camera.
And I'm just trying to make sure, because like I've got about 1,000.
Listen, sir. I'm letting you know. I took all the stuff out the lockers, and there was no camera.
Okay, what was your name so I know who I spoke with?
I'm also Samuels. I'm Samuels in the property room. There's no camera.
Thank you.
You might need to call.
We need a supervisor out here because they're saying that the property is not in the property room, which means that it's been stolen by the police department. So I need to file a complaint with a supervisor right now.
Actually, we need to file a felony stolen property report right now.
Wow. Now it's time for the phone calls, guys. Y'all know how this goes. Once you start trying to file a report on officers for stealing stuff, they're gonna do the loop-de-loops.
Yep, they're all on their cell phone. They're on their phones now.
Everybody's gonna on their phones. You're gonna try to figure out what to do. Sir, how do I go about filing a report for stolen property against an officer that stole the property?
You can call the
Internal Affairs?
You can call the police department and ask to file a report, and then if you don't feel like it's the appropriate person, maybe you can ask.
I'm wanting to speak to the supervisor of a specific lieutenant. Would you be willing to take a report of an officer stealing property?
Sorry?
Would you be willing to take a report of a lieutenant stealing property last night? taking my bait. No, straight up, they arrested him last night and the property room just said that they don't have his cameras. They stole them. I'm trying to file a legit report, sir. What? Are you really walking away from me while I'm trying to file a legit report? So when I get this report filed, I'm going to be able to prove you didn't do your job. Dickinson, 2035.
This story leaves me asking why. Why the overreaction from the police for this particular person with a camera? There were clearly several other people there that night. And why was there so much attention given to his camera by the officer who confiscated it? But more importantly, why did it have no chain of custody that night? Where did it go? And what happened to it while it was missing? These guys deserve some help. Go check out their channels and be sure to subscribe while you're over there. Hopefully they'll post a follow-up to this incident soon, but in the meantime, be sure to check out one of these videos. And as James always says, back the blue till it happens to you.